sorry, just a quick conflab about open mic, because we have got some reserve slots. So if anybody doesn't turn up in time, obviously we will be moving on to the reserve slots. But for the moment, we are fully booked. So welcome everybody. As I said, in a bit, we're going to ask you all to mute. But I don't know how flexible you are with Zoom. Some people are very au fait with it, and some people are new to it. If you go down, if you put your cursor down to the left-hand corner at the bottom, you've got a mute button there. If you click it on, you mute. If you click it off, we can hear you. So what's really nice is if somebody has performed and you click it off mute while they're performing, but when they've performed, it's quite nice to get a bit of applause. If you feel you can't manage that, don't worry, just remain mute and we'll see you clap. Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is fabulous. We've got so many people here already, and I think we've got more people coming. One of the biggest events that I think we've done, which is brilliant. It's going to be a great night. We've got Catherine Baker, that we're very fond of, and who has been doing some sets for us both at Squawkers and Crafty Crows, which is lovely. And of course, we've got David Clarke himself. We're really pleased to have him here tonight. I'm just thinking I want to say Happy New Year, everybody. Can I hear you say Happy New Year?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
So, I mean, it seems very strange because actually there's not a lot of change. We're sort of still more or less where we were in 2020, but fingers crossed, vaccine coming, things should get better. So today, I'm going to start us off with a poem. It's got nothing to do with Christmas, nothing to do with New Year, nothing to do with Brexit, and nothing to do with the pandemic, because quite frankly, I'd had more or less enough of those. So I'm going to do an ekphrastic poem that I wrote some time ago, and I don't think I've ever actually read it on Crafty Crows. So here we go. And it's from the painting by Edward Hopper of a room in New York, if anybody knows it. If they don't and they've got their phones, they can quickly Google it and you'll see the picture, or you can just listen to my explanation and hopefully a picture will arrive in your mind. So this is called A Room in New York. A yellow rectangle in a black stone wall captures my attention, forks direction. This frame of load stone attracts and repels. Loitering between the two forces, I'm static, looking in on the scene, a voyeur. Two figures strapped in this flat roomscape. A man in shirt sleeves sat in a bloated armchair, a woman in a red gown leaning on a piano. One finger poised above a note, hesitating. Her gaze avoiding the score, projecting the tedium of evening, his retreat behind a broadsheet. She hits the note like the stroke of a metronome. Monotone, white light falls on her bare arms, skin bleached, leached of life. The man does not look up, raises his paper higher, a fragile barrier, but one she can't climb over or under. This scarlet bird in a canary yellow room. Behind her, the door is shut, a russet rectangle towering, ready to open if she'd turn the handle. Put on dancing shoes, collect her coat, put the red back in her veins. He disdains to look at her, focuses his quarry on the printed page. Across a round table, they exist on the circumference. Her finger stops. No frisson in the fabric of her dress. I'm so close, if she looked, she'd see my breath upon the glass. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so to set our evening off, we're going to have Clive Oseman, who isn't used to being first because he's usually a bit further down the list. So I've rather jumped on him. But he says he's fine with it, which is good. Now, Clive obviously is co-host of Ubi Hive, and we're really very great to have him here. So without more of ado, a big hand for, please, Clive Oseman.
For those who do not know me, I am the Queen of England. Times are hard for my family, and I need some extra income to pay for a chauffeur now I've banned Philip from driving. We don't want Phil killing a commoner when he's behind the wheel. Our insurance will go through the roof. Now, Philip wanted me to do a bit of bar work. One told him to bugger himself with a billiard cue. I've got a better idea. Poetry workshops. I like poetry, and I like to think I'm a dab hand. I have to keep abreast of trends in order to make sure my laureate isn't slacking. He is from up north, after all. I have to confess, I admire the younger generation of spoken word artists. I haven't actually listened to them, good God, no. But I'm told they are very good for their age. What I can't abide is middle-aged men trying to be dying with the ute, and comedians who call themselves poets. Clive Oseman, for example. Wretched men. Oseman is really not a good writer, as many of you will attest. And I'm going to give you all a free sample of my work tonight. Future lessons will be Zoom only and charged at 200 English pines per session. No euros, thank you very much. Here are some extracts from his feeble attempt at humorous poetry called The Bigger Issues, a fairly recent attempt to follow up that wretched typos poem which I can't stand. So here we go. I will read extracts from the so-called poem, and then I will add my own views. So you will be able to tell which is which, I'm sure. Some people seek answers to big issues like the meaning of life or what happens to us when we die. To them, my issues are small fry, insignificant in the scheme of things, and I have to confess, that stings, because I may not be intellectual, my grey cells are somewhat ineffectual when deep thought is deemed essential, but to me, the small things matter more. Now, yes, some decent rhyming there if that's your bag, but first point of order. If small things matter more, why did it sting so much that you had to mention it in a so-called poem, eh? Tell me that! Anyway, he goes on. What are wasps actually for? They get mildly angry and it's all out war. You try to repel them and they sting you to fuck. Then they do it one more time for luck. They show no compassion, not one little bit. The barbarous, pointless, stripy shits. Totally needless expletives. You wouldn't catch Keith saying the F word just for the sake of a rhyme, now would you? I don't think so. And stripy shits? Really? If you ever get stripy feces, I suggest a visit to a Harley Street clinic immediately. Anyway, it goes on. When I want to appear clever, I step it up a level and ask questions like, if music be the food of love, are cheese quavers an aphrodisiac? Is there such a thing as cheese semi-quavers to give a quick thrill? If so, toss one my way, if you will. Clever? Really? I think not. Anyway, Philip tried quavers, they don't work. I can vouch for that. Now, on the subject of food, Does a fruit fly count as one of your 5 a day? I have my dates, but if it does, I can ditch the sprites. They are not veggies, it's a well-known fact. They are Beelzebub's scrotal sack. Oh, come on. Beelzebub's scrotal sack? Have you not heard of alliteration, man? Beelzebub's bowl bag. Better? Better. If you buy a wok on the internet, is it an Ewok? When it arrives, are you in for a shock? I have no idea what an Ewok is. Come to think of it, I don't know what a wok is either. Oh well, never mind. Perhaps take that line 8. And then he says, if you stick your head down the toilet, which is not very wise, do you get floaters in your eyes? Now, I'm not sure why anyone would stick their head down the toilet, but I'm sure it wouldn't cause floaters. Floaters are caused by changes in the eye's vitreous. I'm sure that's not affected by... what? Oh my God! That is disgusting! Elsewhere, you are a disgrace to the nation. So this is how not to write poetry. Unless you are an uneducated, arrogant, ginger, brommy prole. Now, your first £200 lesson with me will begin to show you how it should be done. I thank you very much. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Bravo.
Thank you, Clive. Thank you, Your Majesty, for starting us off with such a
You are very welcome.
Okay, well, I'm not sure who's going to manage to follow that, but I'm going to call on Doc Janning to do just that. Doc, are you there? Doc, all the way from Ohio?
If I can stop laughing. Clive, you've outdone yourself.
I'm trying to find you picture-wise, but I'm not managing it. Anyway, Doc, I've got you now. Brilliant. If you'd like to take over, that's brilliant.
You read an acrostic poem, so I'm going to follow suit. This is based on a fabric piece that was displayed in a gallery here in my area titled My Journey, which was comprised of utility fabric and threads by Su-Yun Chang. Gateway to the future. All have lived many lives in many worlds and walked many a path. Worlds and paths overlapped, intertwined, in raveled polyglot babble. Stand now in echoing silence at the nexus of time and the gateway to the future.
Oh.
And I don't know if you're able to see it, but this is, oh, that got switched. No,
never mind.
I lost it. I lost it. Sorry. I was going to show you the piece, but
anyway, are you going to speak it?
I read the poem I wrote for it, and you want something more?
I didn't know whether you had a second poem because you.
Oh yes, I have a second poem. It's titled Canto. Soft susurration of dreams sings, sighing into the multiverse, awakening visions of love, visions of Kutch, then soaring songs of the soul answer to unfold in lyric hugs.
Lovely. Lovely. Thank you so much, Doc. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And we'll move straight on to Gail Webb. Gail, have we got you there? Hello, Gail.
Right. Yes, I think you've got me, haven't you?
Yep. Hi.
Hi. Nice to see you
How are
all.
you? Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, I'll read this one. I've only been writing a couple of years, and this poem says a bit about why it's so important to me, I think. It's called The Stowaway Poet. A stowaway poet lives in my soul, crept in when I slept for 100 years. Now she feeds me so I may become whole, helps me love the world through a veil of tears. What cut me to the quick, struck me down low, now raises me to a place where I can see it is all part of the river, the flow without torment. How can we guarantee creativity needs the yin and yang, the battling of different ideas, a Garden of Eden or the Big Bang, places of safety that can soothe our fears. Everything now can be spoken of, written down, then stored on the shelves. People will see through the madness to the love, finding in these words something of themselves. Now the poet comes out from her hiding. The journey has started. She can be free. Her thoughts are dark and the passage winding. The dawn throws a new light and we shall see. Her eyes fix on the sheen of the river. It takes her to places of poetry. The truth that she needs me makes me shiver. I take her hand in perfect symmetry. Thank you. That's
Thank
that
you.
one.
Well done.
Thank you. Have I got time for another one? Or?
Yeah, if it's not too long, yes, one more.
Yeah, not too long. Okay, this is a recent one. I wrote it last May. It is a bit COVID-shaped related. And also about the sort of things, small things we were doing in our lives at the time. It's called The Shape of My Life. It is not a sphere, nor is there a crown of thorns. I do not run round in circles looking for the next way to prove myself. There is no square can hold this desire to travel further. A heart-shaped cookie lies in cellophane. It's too sticky for these lips. If there is a triangle, I will play it with the vigor of a nymph. Let me say it is organic, taking its own shape daily, but at the center is you, starting with warm milk, yeast added to make a bubbling brew. Dough is needed, pummeled to form an oval-shaped bloomer, which you will cut into slices, smear butter in thick streaks across the surface. Then tea, brewed in a conical teapot. It is not a sphere. There you go, thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you very much, Gail. Another big hand for Gail.
Thank you.
I think we have Ivor. Ivor Daniels, you were next, I think. Hello, welcome.
Hi everyone. So this is called Cycling During C19. Not the 19th century, but the 21st. And not the time of space colonies and flying cars that I might have expected from reading children's comics when I was 10. Instead, the time of coronavirus progress and darkest just before the dawn, dark dreams of COVID-19. A young pheasant skitters along the lane in front of my wheels, surprised but not panicked, like it would have been during normal traffic levels. Why is the weather so good this April? Not that I'm complaining. The early morning slanted sunlight outlines the pheasant's light brown downy back. No tail feathers yet. Traffic is down to 1955 levels, someone said. It must have been on the radio. We still have radio in the first wave. The pheasant, surprised.
Ivor, you've muted yourself, Ivor.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. The pheasant surprised, you said.
Not startled. It does not screech like the older ones do when shocked by bike or car, which is good because I don't think humans have a word that truly holds the sound of panicked pheasants in that moment, just before they remember they can fly. That sound we heard on lanes like this before the human lockdown. If this is a cruel April, it's hard to believe it at moments like this, of the sunlight and the pheasant. But the Ides of March was not entirely heeded. Also on the radio, from someone else this time, the news that rape is down by 30% because of lockdown. Time to take stock of things like this and the silent sunny lanes that tell us we can change and that we need to.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah. And there is nothing like that cry of a pheasant, that shriek. It's primeval, isn't it? So thank you very much, Ivor. Michael Collins, have we got Michael? Is Michael here? No. Unfortunately, because Michael comes from Australia and has been one of our regulars. He's very good, so it's a shame. Okay, then I'm going to the first person on the reserve list, which is Simon Aldwick. Simon Aldwick?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Would you like to read your mic?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, thanks. Sorry, I was just caught unawares. I just
Sorry.
put up something.
We like to do that.
Yeah, catch you out.
Okay, I'm gonna read something very soon. So this is a poem that was, if I can find it. This was published recently in Green Ink Poetry. It's called No Haven. The storm was a once in 100 years kind of affair. It tore rocks off the cliff face, peeled skin from beach, exposing a jungle of dead wood, shipwrecks, buried treasure, fossilized remains, and ghosts. It occurred about the same time we lost our heads down at the shore one night. With no light pollution, the stars looked closer. With no city, the wind was free to do its thing, which is a dangerous kind of unleashed. We had tethered ourselves not far from shore, where we got a good look as parts of cliff crashed against waves. I'd be lying if I said when I held you, I felt more than rattling bones.
Wow.
Nice.
If I could do one more, this is
certainly.
It's about we get a lot of like recorded messages phoning up, and with isolation, I thought, imagine being in love with one of these recorded messages. So this is called Cold Caller. He phoned me, the scammer, and said he would never forget his mother's words as she gives him everything he might ever own. You'll grow into it. By the sound of his voice, he had a way to go, but I know and suspect it's all part of the script, so I hung up before he could rob me. He calls me daily, pre-recorded, but I have a thing for analog warmth. I let the phone ring 4 times. My own mother said play hard to get. Picking up, I never know for sure until I hear the silence, hear the click.
Wow.
Yeah.
Simon, I never know when your poems are going to stop, and I'm sort of left suspended in the air. It's fabulous, but I never quite realized. It's brilliant. I love your turn of phrase, and I love the words you use. Thank you so much. Another big hand for Simon Aldwick. Oh, sorry, I sprang it onto you. I'm now feeling that I'm in danger of springing something onto Catherine. Catherine, where are you? Can't see you. Catherine Baker? Catherine?
She's here somewhere.
Catherine? I think she's turned her son. Okay, I think what we'll do is if I could have.
I'm
Kathy,
here.
Are you here? Sorry, I was just saying I'm springing in
Sorry.
because we've moved a little bit faster. If you would like, I can do one more open mic before we do your piece. Would that help you?
I don't mind. I don't mind.
Are you ready now?
I am.
Okay, if you're ready, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, just bear with me. I must read a short. So we're going to start with our first poet of the evening, who is a wonderful, warm Catherine Baker. She's also appeared at several times at Squawkers and at Crafty Crows, so she's a favourite of ours, and it's so lovely to have her here. Catherine Baker has been published by Strand, Snakeskin, Atrium, and Amaryllis. She was highly commended in Prole Poet Laureate competition in 2020. She has poems in anthologies, including poetry from Gloucestershire, Ways to Peace, and Pandemic Poetry. In the GWN Poetry Competition, she was runner-up in 2018 and highly commended in 2020. So we're really pleased to hear her. Please, a big hand for Catherine Baker.
Thank you very much, Josephine. Can you all hear me? You can hear me?
Yep.
We can.
Yeah, okay. So I'm very happy to be here tonight and to have been asked to read a few poems to you. So I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy them. My first poem is about the pandemic, but it is the only one. When it's all over, I'll go to Thailand. I will walk down Soi Swan Plu 8 again in the early morning when the tuk-tuk drivers are eating and laughing over their rice bowls. My granddaughter will be wearing a dress printed with forget-me-nots. I wear my long shorts and old red flip-flops. We'll wander through the scent of frangipani and fried egg and examine every bright flower in the pavement cracks. Notice stones and insects puzzle over the water drains. I will hold her hand as we look at the carp in the hotel pool and nod to the three-legged dog outside 7-Eleven. When we reach the banana lady's stall, she'll be there, shining in her wrinkles. She will call Sawadee Ka to Lila, who will be shy and cling to my leg. Then she will choose a small, perfectly cooked grilled banana and place it on my baby girl's golden palm, and I will bow and say thank you, Kapun Ka. Now, you might not know this, but in 1768, Count Orloff, the lover of Catherine the Great, commissioned a perfume which was used in imperial leather soap. So, an unwanted gift and smelling like Orloff. On a February morning, Mary Morris trudged up the field over spike frost peppermint green grass. She gave a parcel to my father saying, "Harris, for your girl, Orloff is using." He laughed. I hid, crouching in the cowshed. Mary Morris couldn't read or sing or colour in. She had fits. Once in the toilets outside, she wet herself and fell to the floor, shaking. She smelled of earwax, cabbage and cowl. She said she was related to me. I said she wasn't. I watched her go, her nose dripping boiled rhubarb, her big feet slopping in her father's old boots. My father said I should open her parcel and be thankful because there's a shame for her. I threw the half bar of imperial leather soap she'd sliced so neatly, wrapped so carefully, as far as I could, into the dung heap. When she saw me in school next morning, She grabbed me and sniffed my hands, shouting, "Orloff, Catherine, Orloff." I said, "Go away." So, okay. The want of you. Even when I forget who I am and don't recognize the sea or know the turning tides, when it makes no difference to me what shade the sky is, pale or navy blue, when my legs won't lift and my eyes won't see a way home, when my spirit slides thin, brittle, yellow as sheep bones left long in heather, even when these days dawn, time drooping and nights slow to tilt, even then, in my deep, I will still feel the want of you. Okay, Felix Yusupov was a member of the wealthiest family in pre-revolutionary Russia and descended from Crimean Tatars. And he was also the man who murdered Rasputin. Chebureki is the national dish of Crimean Tatars, and it's a sort of fried meaty pasty. So this poem is called Yusupov's Mother. For her birthday once, he gave her a mountain in Crimea, a colossus of craggy magnificence, far flung from the stuffy salons on the Neva. Maybe she noticed the soaring rock from wood-panelled rooms, or as she drifted in gardens, face whitewashed by anemia, dead-heading roses in the gold of late afternoons, weeping under the wings of marble lions. A woman most difficult to gift, her palace is strewn with bowls of rubies, emeralds, and diamonds for noble guests to chink and dabble with, the epitome of elegant wealth and refinements. I have stood in cloud on her jagged monolith, with gauzy scarf Tartars, eating chebureki, my face chilled by the high wind, wet petaled with mist. Did she turn in the end at Iota harbour to see I Petri, its crooked fingers scraping the sky, craving the slapdash sea? This poem is for my grandchildren, the ones I've got now and the ones to come. Canopy. I am beginning to gnarl like an old oak, my limbs wrinkling into stiff fissures. I was smooth, silver brown once, and I'm happy to know this now. I am waiting, wild for new to come. I put my leaves out and my wishes nestle like sea urchin eggs, longing for purple wings. I am dizzy with love. The salt in my woody blood fizzes like baking soda in vinegar. My canopy expands, reaches into years. I may be steadier, but I can still sway in mingled winds and shimmy with anticipation. Okay. Viola. Viola had a fox terrier called Pansy, trembling muscle, rectangular head, and halitosis. Only Viola could coax it. It grinned yellow teeth at the rest of us. Pansy lived under Viola's tweed skirt, staring up at a salmon pink corset and pastel-hued drawers, a safe and pungent place. Viola found herself living with her cousin and his 2 monosyllabic bachelor sons through no fault of her own. Educated and genteel, she was meant for greater things. Housekeeping and tending 3 men wasn't her plan. Viola married innocent, went to live in a tidy Cardiff townhouse, but her man was false, left her plump plaintive arms for Nellie next door, who he impregnated regularly. Viola refused the divorce for spite. They can live in sin. If you needed lessons in simpering, Viola would have been a good teacher. Her voice was high, her body wobbly with dull tufts of orange hair. She had enormous arms from whisking Victoria sponges and killing hens. Viola didn't like children, complained when I went in her bedroom to puff myself with lemon or borrow her paperback westerns. On a wall, she had pictures of the Queen and Marlene Dietrich. One night, I went to the outside toilet. Viola was leaning on the wall with the dog roses, wearing men's trousers and smoking a woodbine. She winked and said, "All girls have secrets, Bach." Okay. So Morgan Mawr at the school reunion. "Do you know him? Is he here?" Small he was, puny, always sick, thin, no good at rugby or running away, snotty nose, always crying, blubbly blub blub. "Do you know him though? Wore shorts till he was 15 and woolly jumpers, bah, bah. Read poetry. Oh, I wandered lonely like a daffodil, ha ha, bloody flower. Do you know him? Is he here?" He let me hit him hard, let me steal his sweets, call him sissy, query pants. He just made me, force me to be nasty. Do you know him though? Dunno. He was kind of cool, could play guitar, sing, great at cricket. I was a top kid, me, and jealous, green as the bogies I flicked in his hair. Do you know what he's doing now? I'm on my own, always have been. I'm up shit creek, always have been. Highlight of my fucking life is watching daytime TV on the telly. I thought I saw him on the TV once. Smart he was, smart, clever kid. I wonder if he amounted to much. I bloody bet he did. Is he here? Thanks. My chalky pearl. I've carried her for decades, rocked in the foxglove folds. I forget about her, but then suddenly her hard little fingers pinch my guts and bring me up short. Nobody knows. I've never told. I shroud my swollen belly, say it's from having too many kids. My doctor is young, has no idea. Suggests diet and exercise. She'll stay now, unborn, turn to bone. My stone baby, my chalky pearl, my unfurled chick. Okay, this one is about a small house called Rosdwarch, Cozy Cottage. A small place it was, hunkered down by a mean old stream where the otters came to steal fish. The soil salty, bearing little but spuds and a couple of skinny milking cows. Sheep never thrived. Born in this loved sour house, he lived a shabby life, the earth floor flattened slick by his feet. He wore boots inside, no woman to take a pride. They'd been a girl, but he was shy beyond. Anyway, he didn't like the way she pushed at him, her body boned and stiff. From the field, you could see Carn Llidi some days, rising puce, blue and feeble yellow. The colours his mam knitted into a fair isle pullover, by now coiling loose, drooping loops about his shirt. Ulcers on his legs bled into rolled over Wellingtons, but that was a secret. His longing was a secret too. How he wanted to go to America, see the cowboys. He smelled of late autumn leaves and smoke with spring onions. In his happy last hospital days, he believed Withy Bush was but Lynn's. His niece, from away, gutted the house, extended it to sell for a holiday home, changed the old name of running consonants. In the dresser, it was said, she found mounds of poems. She couldn't read them, so she burnt them, I expect. Okay. This is my penultimate poem, and it is a true story about seeing the double of my son Jack while I was travelling with my son Alex some years ago. Doppelganger. We saw you in Ulan-Ude, near Lenin's huge head. We were ordering dumplings in a blood-red dining room. We saw you, your black eyes, your cheekbones, your smile, shouldering trays, talking in an endangered language that sounded like Welsh. We saw you and were astounded. What buriat ship, we wondered, sailed sleek into Solva Harbour and scattered the generous genes of Genghis Khan? Okay, so this is my last poem, and I'm sticking with the gene theme. I think I better have a quick drink. Okay, so I've sent off now for a DNA kit to discover my ethnicity. To tell the truth, I'm hoping for something, you know, really exotic. Well, you never know, do you? So this is my last one, called Ancestry Dna. We have the blood of hyenas in us on my mother's side. It's confirmed. I had hoped it wouldn't show, had diluted, but here it is. 50% Welsh, 25% Irish, 20% Viking, and 5% hyena. We knew. My maternal grandmother in her dotage cackled about it. My spotted, bearded great-nan told me rape was an anatomical impossibility. A hyena bitch took a fancy to a man of ours, a scared young little thinly thing. She probably giggled throughout copulation, a trait that continues. He carried his cub babies through the Eurasian jungles until they ate him. Well, their DNA is mine. My sister and I have long necks, high shoulders, walk as if we're in stilettos, asses like pom-poms. My sister has exceptionally coarse hair, untamable, and I have bristling auburn birthmarks dotted randomly. We have strong teeth, literally bone crunching. Couple of arms, only have 4 toes. Women are alpha in our family. We dominate. My sister and I scrap and scream when we meet. My mother joins in. We are vicious, jealous, mean-mouthed, and stink of sulphur. Nothing is off limits. The least we do is ravage self-esteem. We have no men. They soon slope off. I hear that my brothers and sons have no hyena in them, which explains a lot. That's me done. Thank you very much.
Oh, that was fabulous. Please, everybody, would you unmute and show your appreciation for those fabulous words?
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can't believe it. Catherine,
Yeah.
you must read all the quotes, all the chat at the end, because some of the comments that have been flowing in, everybody has loved your work, and you've it's evocative at times of Under Milkwood. I don't know whether it's the sound of your voice or whether it's I'd have to read it to know. But such observation of the human condition, and you've taken us all around the world from, Russia to, I've forgotten the first one now. Was it Turkey? No.
Thailand.
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 That's right. And such tenderness and such a luscious voice, not just the reading, but the poetry. I mean, it's wonderful. The combination of your words and your voice is magic. So really, really thank you for doing that. And another big hand, please, for Catherine Baker.
Bravo.
Woo. Well, that's a fabulous ending to our first half. We're going to break for 10 minutes. So we'll be back at 8:05, if that's all right with everybody. You're quite happy to stay here and chat between yourselves, or go off and get yourself a drink or whatever. So we'll see you back here in 10 minutes. And thank you again, Catherine. I'm going to read a short poem to start us off. It's called The Reader, and I wrote it for Thomas Trofimuk. Now, you may not know his name, but he is actually a Canadian novelist, and Peter and I managed to sort of get hooked onto his books, which are rather unusual and sort of almost like prose poems in parts. And anyway, I've been in touch with him, and he's asked me to read his latest novel, which I'm really looking forward to. And I wrote this at when I'd finished reading a small piece that he'd written. So this is for him. The Reader. She is in love with a new man who has entered her life, though she has never met him. A man who writes for her, and as she reads, she feels she knows him. His phrases have a scent, a heavy perfume of musk, thyme, and rosemary. His punctuation thrills her skin as she waits for the qualification of a statement, a concept, an emotion. His stories are like her dreams, and their fingers trace her spine. She returns to her bed, opens the next chapter, holding her breath for what is to come. There you go, just a small one. Okay, then we will get on with our open mic for the second half. And we're going to start with Gerald Kells. Gerald, are you there?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, welcome.
Used to be an ice lolly, striped and narrowing. Now it's an everyday occurrence. I am learning to zoom. I'm reaching out from Walsall, across the country, across the world. I'm expanding my horizons like a short haiku, that opens up into a vast forest of words. Fir trees climbing into the sky. No more fiddly lolly sticks for me. No more 3-colour memories that melt away on a summer day. I'm learning to zoom. Up, up, up I go. America, Australia, El Dorado, the Alps, the Himalayas, the moon, further and further into space. Swindon. As the world closes in on my back room, on my brown dining chairs, on my rows of unread books, on my ambition to be silent, I climb, 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 climb. Used to be an ice lolly, now it's a small window. I look at you, you look at me and smile. Zoom, I'm learning to zoom. Look, my words have reached the stratosphere. I'm never coming down. Called Zoom? for Clive there, I think. In honour of Clive. So, I'm going to do. Oh, sorry, that a bit all done up with that one. This is what I was walking in our local park, Palfrey Park in Walsall, which is a beautiful park, and this is just after the snow, and this poem is called Stone Circles. Now that these snowmen have mudded, they look like a stone circle in this frosted landscape of ice and snow. We walk between winter wonderland and winter grey under bare arched trees. Up in Cumbria, the real stone circle will be clothed in white, but it would take a miracle to dissolve that monument down to a level, flat Christian straightness, to a mountain less forswearing. Here in this park, I try not to speak too much in case the sonnet in my head drip, drip, drips away. Or the arch of these figures, these 4 melting statues, becomes apocalyptic and unyielding. Mm. The air is unafraid of its future. It knows that the grass will return, however harsh this winter. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Gerald. That was lovely. Another big hand for Gerald.
Yay.
Okay, next up we have Kathy Carson. We're very pleased to have her here. Kathy will be our feature for our next Crafty Crows. So this is a little taster, and if you like it, please come again. So big hand for Kathy Carson.
Thank you, Josephine. Thank you for having me here. Some lovely poems tonight, a beautiful night. So I have tonight a love poem for my husband. I think I owe him a love poem. I drove him to crazy last night. I took off all the lights off a pre-lit Christmas tree that I wasn't supposed to take off, which he spent 3 hours untangling and reapplying to the tree, and not a crossword spoken. So this is for him. He's an absolute gem. I am sorry, in capitals, in neon lights, in aeroplanes that write the letters in the sky. I am sorry. For the armor I wore in the beginning, you see, it kept me safe in a home full of hurt, but for you, it made me unreachable. For every argument I orchestrated, calculated, manipulated, engineered, because I was unraveling. Just needed to feel in control of something. For every kindness I weaponized, hurled back at you, because when I tried to hold him, they turned to glass in my hands. For every push back, pull away, in, out, on, off, chaos, confusion I caused in your mind. Trying to find what would make you snap because I needed to know what that looked like. And for the pain and shame I made you feel when you showed me. For all the times I behaved as unlovable as I felt, just so I could feel like my outsides matched my insides. Forever bringing you to a place of pain, just so I wouldn't feel so alone in mine. For never understanding back then that all that anger came from needs never met, or that all I ever had to do with you was ask. And I am thankful for arms that are always open. For the 22-year-old you who kissed me on the forehead, told me the war I was waging was nothing to do with you, but that you loved me and would ring me in the morning. And you were right. For patience and persistence, kindness and compassion, never earned but given without condition. For the way you hold me so tight that all my broken parts fuse back together. For the days I wake with bedhead hair and the sleep I haven't had inked under my eyes, and you look at me and tell me I am beautiful. For the way you drag me, kicking and screaming from the water. You see, I thought I was swimming, but you could see that I was drowning. And for that space, just below your collarbone, where if I press my ear, I can hear the thump of your heart. And slow my breath so that my thump synchronizes with you. God, something about that will always, always still me. And I am thankful, in capitals, in neon lights, in aeroplanes that write the letters in the sky. I am thankful. Thanks, Josephine Baker.
Oh, thank you. Please unmute and give a big hand to Kathy Carson. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Somebody said, I hope he's listening.
Yeah.
When I told him it, nobody said, that's nice.
Lovely. He sounds great. Brilliant. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much. Okay, now we've got a newcomer coming to read for the first time a Crafty Crows. In fact, it may be her first time on Zoom at all. She's come along to various workshops and she's been working hard on her poetry and she's doing really well. I want you to give a big hand, please, to Karen Herman. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Right. I'll just begin. This one doesn't have a title. It's about sort of early on in life. I never spoke those thoughts that I had. I kept them quiet in my head. They thought I was daft. They said I was dumb. I hadn't heard of dissent. They moaned and declaimed. I learnt to read and smuggled books to my room. In them were people with heads like my head. At first I thought they were dreams. Then I found out there were different worlds. Buses went to them and trains. I packed and I left. I never went back. I found my heart's true domain.
Great.
Okay. Can I read one more? Is there time?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay, this is from much later on in my life, and it's I'm not sure if it's addressed to one person or several. Don't waste your spurious charms on me, hollow man. I've seen you bare your teeth. I know your pattern. Your account of yourself as honest and caring has sprung so many leaks you may surely must drown. The bait you proffer does not tempt a newly lucid mind. Coercive control now crumbles, and love was never present. I see your shriveled soul struggling for survival, predator.
Well, thank you. Well
Wow.
done, Karen. Thank you very much. Big hand for Karen Herman.
Thank you.
Very well done. Okay, and now we come to another newcomer for certainly for Crafty Crows. Welcome, Leslie Constable. Leslie.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi. I'm just going to do a few simple ones, I think. This one's called Found Light. Well, no, maybe I'm not going to do that one. Sorry. I'll do Waking. In the moment between sleep and waking, half light, the moon not sunk yet and settled below the line of seeing, you are in between, the gentle hum of existence and not constant. It pulsates like you in love, or a cat with its tail flicking rhythmically to some inner beat. And you cherish this moment, laying so still and paying attention, not yet a light to light the fire of your being, but just nothing there, now still, yet everything is there. Oh. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to read this one. I don't think I've ever read this one, so I will. It's called This Surface Life. I need a Band-Aid for my wound, which is not visible, but is there nonetheless, the wound of a life well lived. I put it on, this Band-Aid, on the surface of my skin and know that its healing will reach down into me, and it will be so much better, this wound. The warmth of protection from the Band-Aid, the self-love I send with it, traveling down far and deep to penetrate these pockets of want, these pockets of hurt and ire, of desire unmet, this harm that comes to us all at times from this lived life on the surface of the skin. This edge, our ledge from which we're about to fall, the surface of the earth from where we come and where we are now, us who are those who breathe air on the surface and sometimes suffer, we who are exposed to the changes hourly at times, the rapid changes, the elements, the whims of the forces at play, those wicked winds that move us, the savage droughts and we thirst, the fires of our souls, the floods of too much of surface life, the overfull clouds which unleash onto us and seep down these rains as tears into our bodies, as tears ravaging us as surely as they do the earth, this mother, our skin, this surface life. I need a drink, a cup of tea made hot by water, hot on the hard boil, this blood boiling, the anger rising hot like sun flares to meet me, dangerous this sun is, and repel that which would overcome me. I will not yet be overcome. I want to stay and be old, very old, so old that I know what the very old ones know, finally, before I sleep. Okay, here's that.
Thank you. That's brilliant.
Okay.
I concur. I want to be old, really old, before I go to sleep.
Do you mind if I read one more real quick?
If it's very short, very
short. Sure.
Okay.
Found light. We find that we are on, excuse me, I'll start again. We find that we are there, the diagonal path through the overhanging trees, sure and clear, the branches clamoring for our attention, pulling at our clothes like eager children. We did not expect the laughter, the sudden laughter that played through the trees, the steady hum of insects all the while, a sweet song across the reach of trees and higher up into this watchful sky. We embrace, found now in this pool of light that marks this spot, this end of the path, and this time now, we are together, found now in this light, found together and not alone, found now and not lost, never lost.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Leslie Constable.
Thank
Big
you.
hand for Leslie.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we have another new lady, Chaucer Cameron. Chaucer,
Right.
are you
Hello,
there?
I'm here.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, nice to see you. Lovely to see you. Oh, sorry about this. I'll just put this on now. I've got a poem here. I'm going to read a poem from my pamphlet, which is due out in March with Against the Grain. It's called In an Ideal World, I'd Not Be Murdered. It is part memoir, part fiction, and explores the world of prostitution. So it's a world I know. Can you hear me? Because I know my sound.
Yes, certainly, perfectly.
It's usually good, but
no, it's fine. It's perfect.
Right. Okay, so this poem is one of the main poems in the book, actually, and it's called Introductions, and it just introduces you to the whole book, you know, which is why I'm reading it. Okay, Introductions. Night. A dimly lit street, an almost empty cafe, dull bland interior, brown wooden chairs, a brown leather sofa, a dark brown tub chair in the corner. A male waiter with scraggy scraped back hair stands behind the counter. Crystal is sitting by the window of the cafe, while another woman sits on the floor at her feet. A young woman lies asleep, slumped on a broken, battered beanbag at the back of the room. She has her legs covered up with an ochre cardigan. That is Jane, said Crystal, pointing to the sleeping woman. J-A-E-N, not Jane with a Y, or even plain Jane, but J-A-E-N. For God's sake, talk about making life hard. Crystal lights a cigarette. Jane Foster, she calls herself. Look, she's even got it tattooed on her knuckles. I had a daughter once. She was fostered. Well, she was for a while. I was only allowed to see her on Saturdays. And then I found out some oh-so-nice adoptive family got her. She's not fostered. She's adopted. And her name is anyone's guess. Anonymous. Anonymous. It won't be the name I gave her, though, will it? They won't tell me what it is, her name, I mean. I'll never know what they chose until she's old enough to find me. If she even bothers, will I? And then I'll have to wait. And even then, she'll still be anonymous. Barely there. Anyway, there she is. That's Jane Foster. J-A-E-N. Crystal gets up, stretches and orders a coffee just for herself. You weren't here when she turned up last week, were you? Was in a right state. Told us some story that she'd sort of had a baby, a miscarriage, abortion. I can't remember which. Whatever. The fetus ended up in the dustbin. Is that a criminal offence? I mean, if it's flushed down the toilet, no one would be any the wiser, would they? Just a cramp or two, a bleed, a full stop. It's not that hard to flush a fetus down the loo, unless you listen to that claptrap from the pro-life lot, the ones that make you feel like shit. They stand there with their banners, with their slimy little posters, and the way they call themselves babies, little people, small humans, beating hearts. And yeah, I guess, how could you really flush a little beating heart down the toilet, not commit suicide when you can't live with the flashbacks?
Gosh, that was so brave. Thank you, Chaucer. Big hand, please, for Chaucer Cameron. Wow. I think I shall have to look out for that pamphlet. Thank you. And last but not least on our open mic, we've got Zoe Brooks, which I'm really pleased about. Please, a big welcome for Zoe Brooks.
Right. With your permission, I'm going to read 3 very short poems, and they are very short, so don't worry, Josephine.
No, I'm not worried.
Thank you. They've all got a slight link in that my mother appears in all 3. The first one is about my uncle. It's called Norton Farm. Sometimes still I come across your death again, as I sign executors' deeds, calculating interest that is beneath interest. I discover my mother's words. He died today. And the shock of it makes my hand pause. My hand reaches down to the little cat with no ears, which rubs against my ankle, crying. You had hands big enough to hold that cat in your palm, carrying her away from the burning barn.
Wow.
And the second poem is dates back to my youth. Junctions. You are always here when I am not. I'm not now, but lost in the railway sidings between the fox track and the willow herb. She's not with us, my mother would say at the dinner table as my fork lay idle beneath my hand. Lost in her own world. No world of my creating, but lost, certainly. A junction of lines with the points frozen.
Ooh.
And finally, this is that my mother died a year or 2 ago. I'm very glad she did, in a way, because I wouldn't have wanted her to experience this. She had Alzheimer's. The gypsies in the room. It is the unstitching of the mind, we tell ourselves, watching as she slips further from us. Like an old purse, the lining opening to reveal lost coins. Morphine and dementia see the gypsies in the room, silent in a row. The ancestors come to greet her, we joke, to watch over the journey we cannot take with her. Not yet, anyway. The coins jingle, crossing the palm of the ferryman. Thank you. I should have said that comes from my collection, Now I'm Bound, because it shows what a rubbish saleswoman I am.
I feel we're all the same. If you'd like to put the link in your chat, Zoe, for your book, that would be fabulous. Yeah.
Okay, I will do. Thank you. Thank you.
A big hand for Zoe Brooks, please. I'm afraid I don't think most poets are very good at self promotion. I don't know why. We always forget the book until it's too late. Okay, that ends our fabulous open mic. Thank you for everybody who's been on it. That's been brilliant. And now we're coming to the most important part of the night. We're so pleased to have David Clarke with us. David Clarke was born in Lincolnshire. His first pamphlet, Gaud, won the Michael Marks Award in 2013. His first collection, Arc, was published by Nine Arches Press in 2015 and was longlisted for the Polari Prize. Another pamphlet, Scare Stories, was published by V Press in 2017 and was named a Poetry School Book of the Year. His poems have appeared in magazines including Magma, Tears in the Fence, Long Poem Magazine, and The Interpreter's House. His second collection, The Europeans, described things close to home and looking out beyond these shores. It's very pertinent to our time in the last year or so. These wry and perceptive poems revel with form and encompass journeys, ideas of nationhood and national identity, and the optimism of a time when Europe and the UK enjoyed a quite different entente cordiale. They are a warning against nostalgia, a lucid and prescient exploration of how we see ourselves and how we are seen. So with no more ado, please, an enormously big hand, unmute yourself with a big hand for David Clarke.
Woo!
Thanks, Josephine. Thanks, everybody, for your poems. I'm assuming that you can all hear me fine.
Yes, perfectly.
Great. That was a lovely introduction. I feel I'm going to slightly disappoint after the introduction because I'm not going to read anything from any of those books. Please do go away and buy them and read them, or get hold of them somehow. But I'm going to do something slightly unusual because I do normally do a bit of talking between poems. I think that's a good thing, to have a bit of talking between poems as a kind of a palate cleanser. But I don't really have a lot to say about the poems I'm going to read. I'm sort of in the middle of something that I'm not really quite sure what it is yet. So I'm using you as guinea pigs really to see how it sounds when I read some of these to an audience. Just to give you a little bit of context, I've been writing this sequence of poems where I write about a thing twice. So they're basically kind of 14-line poems. I wouldn't call them sonnets, but they're 14-line poems, more or less the same structure when you see them on the page. And each subject gets looked at twice from kind of two different perspectives, I suppose. So that's pretty much it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read you 7 of those double poems, but I'm going to read the different parts kind of separately. That will become sort of clearer as I go along. I'm going to read the poems. After each poem, I'll make a little pause. In the middle of the sequence, there might be a slightly longer pause, and then there'll be some more, and then it'll be over. and you will be either confused or something else, or maybe a lot of emotions will happen. Okay, so I'm going to start with that. Plums. I test their flesh with my cool fingers. A young wine's purple glows beneath the bloom I rub away. If the stem will give them gently, if they roll into my grasp, there may be sun enough inside. But when I force, they green against my teeth. A smack of woodsap dries my mouth and leaves a naked stone to spit among tall grass. Some I pluck from ripening's cusp. Hardness gives way to fresh surprise. A stream that runs from tart to clear. The drink I need. Starlings. Moulded sleek for water more than air, I think they dive the depth of morning, a quill of arrows loosed into a battle's strife. Wide boys in from nowhere, they strut in tonic suits, give clannish nods and winks. Tender, they offer scraps to feed their fluffed up idiot young. Their own quick greeds a gulping down of life. Each head jerk winds the body tighter, tensed for flight. A window opens and they explode into the air, vanish like a thought I could not hold. When I step into the sun, they eye me from a darkness under leaves.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Stork. This bird is all beak, a blade aligned to the eye. Pacing fields with a surgeon's tact, it lances movement in stubble. Flight is an unfurling, the body's grubby parasol flung against sky. A pale death drags its shadow across land and water, alights in a nest's boneyard to toss the chicks their morsels. Wrapped in its bleached frock coat, it finds a branch at twilight, waits there for time to end. Field. Where once was field, the flood has broken bounds. Ditch and road are one grey film. Wind quivers in the divots sheep have made, and hedges shred black plastic, expose the nests of season's end. The earth is deep, unwalkable, a mire to suck you down and tan you in the land's brown juice. 1,000 years of empty sleep will leave you curled and sweet, the head gone springy as a nut. By then, the field's forgotten all your kind, a final blessing. Lake. They warned me not to swim when storm was near, but morning cleared for silence like a goblet struck to pitch. The boards were hot against my soles as light rocked on the black expanse. Vision shattered into countless planes, each one a partial mirror of the world. Halfway down the ladder, my shocked spine became conductor of the water's cold, shorted with the static that the thunder's rage had left in air. My mind was a defective bulb, myself unmade and remade in the space of a breath. I pushed away and heard my own heart beating for release upon the tautened drum that was my skin. Estuary. That stump is buried half inside a bank that breaches the water's pull, like an ancient flint harpoon scarred into a whale's thick hide. Weather-felled and hollowed in the swell of flood, flayed by river's slow design, it juts, a last grey tooth inside a sinner's head. This is the centre of the world. It holds horizon's focus, soft banks of undulating mud, white birds that dip and reel. And I am in the water, in the wood and air, but find no shelter there. Storm. This premonition has swollen in days of heat. Now neighbours lean from windows to see the tempest fanfare its own birth. All the birds are quitting the sky. A great ewe bucks and thrashes like a bear in chains. Cudgelled by blasts of grey air, it flashes grim and powerless paws. Shirt spectres twist on washing lines. Streets are skittered with leaves and plastic bags. The skyline sparks to negative and groans, makes every house quake. The bones of all the people are kindling now, dry as twigs that brute boys snap in rushes of senseless, sudden strength. Storm. The road is wild as the lid of a boiling pot. Tarmac writhes like a channel for black eels. Land, air, and sky are either water or steam. Houses curl and cower. Thunder breaks open another magnum of froth. Each leaf and lamp and downpipe oozes, drips syncopated beats. Beasts of field and hedgerow wait for the end, stretch their necks and noses into warmer air. Time runs into gutters, churns itself green. Hills swell, shift their sodden coats about old shoulders, sigh. Merciful storm, pull us softly apart and sluice us. We are open to earth. Estuary. Rearing over a tump of tawny grass, a craft. Cupping sand and thyme, a shapely palm of fiberglass, blown cornflower blue by briny wind. Its other freight is one frayed net, the whole of the sky. Oarless, it seems to heave a path across the current's sly demands. It has not come to rest upon that dune, remembering the lurch of tides, those human shapes it bore into a lantern swinging dark. Poor boat, I see no hands to haul your shining cargo clear. Lake. Now I open the book of the lake to read my body. Find it cool and green, a thought unrolled in muscle at every stroke. Provisional, its propositions constantly revised by breeze that needs the water into ripples, or birds who clatter out of reeds like fear that blunders through a dream. Back on land, who knows me? That dry arrangement speaks his text and stalks the scene. The shape of me extends in new dimensions here. My flutter breath is pressed from lungs like wings. The afternoon has drawn this circle wide. Its bright horizon pitches as I fold the future's weight and find my path is free. Field. Say this piece of lands and I, a sleeping king has closed upon his realm. Say it flickers now in March as vision moves beneath the membrane. A nerve is twitching at the touch of light. Say it opens wide and is a mirror, catching silver in its troubled pool. Clouds are racing through it, a dance the earth itself becomes. The shoulders roll, the belly heaves, a ponderous gavotte. Here is the monarch's hawthorn crown. Weary, he comes to rule us once again. Stork. We build a tower for you, stork, to set our rickety luck on, a haywire crown of broken things. By season's end, your young will shit it grey and white as a cloud. We bid you stay a century to sentinel our sleep, then skim your noontide silhouette over this miserly earth, so it may give us cream and chives to sweeten our soup. Let our age be slow and full. Let the yard grow fat with babies. Let history look the other way. Starlings. I remember striking metal fences, tensile wires to make the sci-fi sounds of lasers deep in space. Those chill vibrations shivered in my chest and tuned my mind to frequencies like these. A swirl of starlings rolling in to roost inside this spread of sycamores, a cumulus of black and green that ripples with their quarrel and complaint. Now the dusk is made of birds. They gather hordes of shadow in these crowns and call down night with urgency, which echoes back from tree to tree. The whole town shudders at the edge of light. Plums. August has turned blue to black. Bulbs of sick, sweet liquor droop pendulous on brittle staves. Welts in flesh that will not scar. They open, glisten to the wasps who tumble, twitchy-limbed, to lap at purple ooze. Now amber tears run dry and make a tacky gum. The sun is low. It silhouettes dark sacks of skin that wither in the canopy, the summer somehow still inside. They drop through green and mulch the earth with boozy rot.
Wow.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for reading. Can you please unmute and give David Clarke a really big hand for a fabulous experience?
Amazing.
Thank you for letting us be your guinea pigs. I can almost smell the journey. I mean, it's weird. As you were reading it, I was getting senses of smell as well as images. And it was like going on a journey with you, but walking and seeing through your eyes at the same time. And it was amazing. I would love to read it. Can you tell us when we'll be able to read it?
I don't know. I don't know whether the experiment will work in the end. So who knows? Hopefully sometime in the future.
I do hope so, because that was brilliant. Thank you so much. Can we have another big hand for David Clarke, please? Oh, that was a wonderful night. First of all, I'd like to have another big hand for Catherine Baker, because she was brilliant too. And a big hand to all our open micers. Thank you. And it only remains for me to say that was an amazing night, and one that I'm not going to forget quickly at all. We would like to do 2 feature nights regularly, but of course we again do not make money, so we like to pay our features some money. There is a place to donate. Peter has been saying at the bottom, if you feel you've enjoyed the night, and if you think if you were out you would have had a coffee or a cake or a pint of beer, so that money given to us would help us to do this again, which is what we'd really like to do. So I leave that to you. It is on the chat. If you go onto our website, www.the Poetry Society.co.uk, you will find a donate button. So that will be wonderful. Thank you. I also just want to say that if you've enjoyed it, we will be doing Crafty Crows again, as I said, with Kathy Carson as our feature next month on the, and I bet I haven't got the date here, hold on.
It's the 3rd, I think.
3rd of February, that's right. And we're also doing something completely new and different. And this is for the slam poets and the performing poets and spoken word artists. We're going to bring back the old squawkers in a very small way, and we're going to do squawker slam lines. Now, this will have about 5 or 6 poets, slam poets, who will be reading a slam poet of not more than 3 minutes. And we will have just the one poem, and we'll have a draw open mic as well. So you can apply for an open mic, but it will be a draw, and then we will have that. And it would take a maximum of 45 minutes. So as we put on our site, if you're late, you'll miss it. And there won't be much talk. There'll be 1 minute bios for each of the poets, but it is going to be fast, furious and fabulous. So that will be on the 19th of January. And we're going to start with Clive Osman, Chloe Jacquet, Becky who's in France. Trying to think, who else was it, Peter? Sorry.
You caught me on the hop.
I have, haven't I?
Catherine.
I didn't write it down, I should have done. Pardon?
Catherine Driscoll.
Oh yeah, Catherine O'Driscoll.
Oh, she's good. Brilliant.
And there is one other.
Oh, how can we have forgotten it? Oh, Tish Camp.
Tish Camp.
So it's going to be a big selection, nice selection. So if you want to put your names down for the open mic, please email us as you do for this, and we will draw on the night as to who. So have your poem ready, your 3-minute poem ready, and you may get to take part. So this will be good. We're looking forward to this. Is there anything else? Well, the winter poetry competition, the Gloucestershire Poetry Society's winter poetry competition is still open and will be until the 15th of February. So please write a winter's poem and send that in. Don't tell me anything about it. Don't put it on the site because I'm judging it. So I mustn't know who or what the poems are. Okay. And there's also a winter warmer workshop this month, get it right, on the 14th. So that's something else. I think that's the end of all my comments. If there's anything that anybody wants to share with anybody, please put it on the chat. And I think that's it. So thank you all for coming. It's been a fabulous event. It's made me forget all about our lockdown. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And good luck to you all. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you in a month's time. Give yourselves a big hand, and everybody, David Clarke, Catherine Baker, and all the open micers. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.